Hello, guys. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Today, our story from the user InfamousSoft280, and it is called My 28F Ex-Fiance 28M, is the happiest he's ever been with his new TikTok e-girl, and it's only made me realize how terrible I was and how much I lost. Is there any hope for me? My now ex-fiancé, let's call him S, and I were together for over a decade. We were high school sweethearts, and when I left our hometown for college, he dropped everything in his life to come start over in my university city just to be with me because he said he knew that I was the one. Looking back now, it's so easy to see that this man gave absolutely everything for me. He changed careers to something he didn't care about so he could give me a better life. He cooked. He cleaned. He spoiled me in every way, but more than anything, he was patient with me. We were set to get married on our 11th anniversary back in September. It was going to be my dream wedding, and now, over half a year later, I'm realizing I'm the one who ruined everything. S had his problems, but they all seem so minuscule in hindsight. He drank too much, but it's not like he was an angry drunk. He was always sweet and funny. Honestly, I think the biggest part of his drinking problem was that everyone wanted to party with him since he was so fun to be around. He'd occasionally have depressive episodes where he'd struggle to get anything done, but he always managed to pull through. He was always on the lookout for something new and left a trail of unfinished video games and projects in his wake, but even that just seems cute to me now when I look back on it. A few months before the wedding, he was having another depressive episode, and instead of being the kind, supportive partner I always thought I was, I pushed. The problem was, since he handled the vast majority of the chores in our house, this meant that things weren't getting done. When I'd get home to find the dishes not done or the litter not cleaned, I should have supported him and picked up the slack, but instead I nagged him. When I'd get home to find that he hadn't eaten breakfast or lunch, I should have been kind about helping him, but instead I would lecture him about how I hated having to coddle him like a babysitter. We fought multiple times a week. Forgot to go to the store, fight. Bailed on plans with our friends, fight. Started the laundry but was too lazy to fold it, fight. On and on it went until I somehow worked the delusion into my head that I was being held down by him and just needed room to breathe. I still remember the look in his eyes when I told him I needed a break and I wanted to postpone the wedding. I still feel a pit in my stomach when I think about how he snapped, so broken he couldn't even cry. I explained that I just needed some time on my own to reflect, that it would be good for both of us, that it was only temporary, and we'd go back to being us before he knew it. Incomprehensibly, he even managed to be supportive of me through his pain. I moved in with a friend, and he helped me move my stuff. He covered all the expenses for the canceled wedding and never asked for a dime from me. He told me he would wait for me. He told me he would always be there for me, and that I was his best friend in the world. We did talk regularly, but more and more I felt him begin to pull away from me. I started therapy to work on myself, and S finally went to get help for his depression and get medication for it. A few days turned into a week. Weeks turned into months. I honestly can't tell you what any of it was for. Those first few months were just like a fog, like I was just a zombie running on autopilot. I barely worked on myself, barely did anything. I barely even existed, and I felt like the biggest idiot in the world, and just didn't know how to put my pride aside and admit it. We started hanging out again in group settings since all our friend groups were the same. It was weird at first, but we eventually found a new rhythm. We'd get drunk and stay up late having deep talks well after everyone left. One time I tried to hook up with him, but he explained that he was still too hurt, and he needed time, and I told him I understood. My life during all this had only gotten worse and worse. I missed breakfast because he wasn't there to make me smoothies. I blew money on takeout because I was too tired to cook after work, and even when I did, it was a fraction as good as what he made since I had spent a decade being taken care of. My laundry didn't get done, my trash didn't get taken out. After 4 months, I decided I was just too lonely, and since he was still not open to getting back together, I looked around on dating apps. Turns out guys in one-night stands don't give a fuck about the girl's pleasure, only their own. Compared to S, The other guys didn't even hold a candle to him in intimacy. They weren't as handsome as S. They weren't as funny. Their eggplants were smaller, and they didn't know how to do anything for me, like he did so. Eventually, I just stopped going out with guys. That's when his little gothy girl, L, 23F, came into his life. It feels like God made L just to punish me. She's everything I felt insecure about not being for him. She's younger than me, hotter than me, shorter than me. Everyone raves about how adorable she is. Seriously, she must live at the gym and eat almonds for dinner because she's as slim as a stick with abs, but somehow still has a better ass than me. I knew S was a catch because the moment we went on a break, two of my now ex-friends threw themselves at him like dogs in heat, but were politely turned down. But seeing that he could have had a girl like Elle this whole time instead of me only makes me feel worse. I knew he always had a thing for goth girls, but never changed the way I dressed for him. I even remember getting mad at S when he bought me a choker as a gift one time. She got super popular on TikTok for making thirst traps, but completely stopped posting once they started dating. I used to obsess over her videos, but finally managed to stop watching them because they were so bad for my mental health. 2 months ago they moved in together, and he began integrating her into our friend groups. I've never seen him so happy and so confident. He's clearly been maintaining a workout regimen, which he never managed to do when he was with me. At a recent party, I even saw him turn down a drink because he wanted to stay sober for the night, and I had to do everything in my power to hide my shock. I've overheard Elle talking to other girls in the group multiple times, ranting about how amazing S is, and about how she never knew guys like him even existed. I hear her talk about the exact life I used to have, and she has nothing but gratitude and is completely head over heels for SL and I talked, but only extremely briefly, with her explaining that she really wanted us all to keep being friends and be on good terms. I hate myself for it, but it's way too easy to understand what he sees in her. Despite her aesthetic, she's this perfect little bundle of sunshine, and everyone seems to take to her right away. The happier I see him become, the happier I see him make L, the more I fall further into the depths of realizing I ruined my own life. With my therapist's help, I've come to realize what I thought were fights were really just me beating him down emotionally. The fact he still loved me and supported me through everything I put him through just shows how amazing of a guy he was. I know he's doing better without me. I know no one in their right mind would choose me over L, and I know he doesn't owe me anything. But sometimes, no matter how terrible it is, I catch the way he stares at me so sadly, or lets a hug linger just a little too long, and I get hopeful. I remember his words about waiting for me, the years of telling me I was his soulmate, and it gives me this desperate little hope that one day he'll come back to me. It tortures me every day, and I just don't know what to do with myself. What can I do in this situation? Do I really have to just give up on the love of my life? Why couldn't I have just gone to therapy earlier? Why couldn't I have realized couples therapy existed? How am I supposed to live with this big of a mistake weighing me down? I'm sorry for ranting so much. I'm sorry this is so long. I just feel so broken and ashamed. I've tried journaling, but I just end up crying on my bed. I don't know, maybe I want people to see how dumb I am. I just want to know what I can do to be happy again. Update. Wow, this got a lot of views and comments very quickly. I guess I don't really know how Reddit works. I read through what's here so far, and I really appreciate the people who took the time to offer sincere advice. To the people who said this is my burden, and I need to leave him alone, you're absolutely right. One thing has become clear to me, though. I need to move. I called my sister, who lives a few states over, and has been my rock through all this, and she's offered to let me stay in her guest bedroom for a few months until I get back on my feet. My life is here. My friends are here. But if I'm going to focus on healing and becoming a better person, I need to accept that was my old life. It's not coming back, and that's no one's fault but my own. To everyone whose assumption is that I'm sad because I don't have someone to take out the trash, I apologize if that's how it came across. I'm not broken because I have to do the dishes. It's that I had someone who loved me more than anything in the world and found joy in supporting me, and I pushed him away. Finally, to everyone whose goal is to somehow prove I'm not real, I don't really know what to say. I'm sorry if it comes across as fake. Also, importantly, for people contacting me to try and guess which influencer it was, please stop. I have no intentions of outing anyone or connecting this to their identities in any way. I didn't post her height as a subtle way to out her. I did it because I've been insecure about being a tall girl my entire life, so I'll remove that. I'll continue to check the comments as they come in, but it looks like I'm only allowed to do one update, and I wanted to use it to say thank you for the advice and for the reality check. For the first time in months, I feel like I have a goal and something to focus on. I'm really happy I posted this. Comment 1 from user Loki Dead Inside. Yeah, I read nothing about what she wants to do for him, or what she should have done better besides be more supportive. When you're in a relationship with someone like that, it's amazing, but you need to reciprocate, not just say thank you and move on. I understand why she feels this way, and she is not wrong for it, but he definitely deserves someone who wants to treat him the way he treats them. Op is only a victim of her own selfishness. Well, I agree with some of what you're saying, but I'm not sure you're understanding me fully. Doing household tasks is a mental load. When you're doing it for yourself, that's just basic adulting. But when you're doing it for a spouse and children, you're suddenly adulting for several other people, and it truly does become a mental load. Every single adult should be able to fully take care of themselves and keep a sanitary household that has food. But when you do that for other people on top of yourself, it becomes a lot harder. I work less than my BF, so I'm okay with taking on that mental load like the dishes and cooking and cleaning for him 85 to 90% of the time. And he recognizes I do that he has no problem picking up the slack the other 10 to 15% of the time. I fully agree that basic requirements to function as a human should not be such contentious topics in relationships. You should fully be able to handle those things on your own. But when one partner chooses or is coerced or manipulated or forced into taking those things on for another person, it does become a load. The other partner should be fully willing and able to pick up slack when needed, if one partner is doing those things most of the time because it is genuinely hard work. Also, as someone with ADHD, basic adulting is a mental load for me. Comment 2 from user throwaway 1987. I can't believe how often basic life tasks become huge issues in relationships. It's 2024. Clean up after yourselves, people, without turning freaking dirty dishes into a sexist debate. I'm blaming parents. Teach your kids, boys and girls, to do dishes, laundry, toilet cleaning, and to clean up their messes. We are all messy. Doesn't matter what sex we are. Quit destroying homes because 10 minutes of dishwashing interferes with scrolling on TikTok. It's not a mental load, it's life. Everyone needs to quit treating everyday stuff as if it's servitude or slavery. It is simply life. Get paper plates for fuck's sakes. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. See you again.